And so, again, just waiting for that video uplink to get realized from the landing site. Fortunately, though, we do have NASA Public Affairs Officer Rob Navius on standby there at the landing zone. He rode out in a helicopter with the search and recovery forces. Rob, we don't have a view of the landing site quite yet, so I was hoping you could paint us a picture with your words of what's taking place down there at the landing zone in Kazakhstan.
You bet, Dan, and good evening to everybody. They did it. They're home after a year in space, and they stuck the landing. The Soyuz TMA-18M is upright. The ladder has been erected around the descent module, and search and recovery and Energia personnel are now working to open up the top hatch of the descent module to begin the extraction of the crew. Typically, for a Soyuz landing where the vehicle is upright, the Soyuz commander, Sergey Volkov, in the center seat, would be extracted first, typically followed by Mikhail Kornienko, the board engineer, on the left side, and then finally Scott Kelly. We'll see how that order goes. It is a very, very calm morning out here in the southern steppe of Kazakhstan. Almost no wind. It was a bullseye touchdown for the year-long crew of Kelly and Kornienko and their Soyuz commander, Sergey Volkov. We're all anxiously awaiting their extraction from the spacecraft. So if you keep me on the line here as you establish a TV picture, we'll be able to describe the action for you.
Yeah, sure thing, Rob. We'll keep you on. How was the flight out there on the Russian helicopters today? Any inclement weather, anything to deal with, or was it smooth sailing?
No, it was all smooth sailing. As you know, we flew from Karaganda to Zhezkazgan on Tuesday to pre-position for search and recovery operations for the crew. We set out very early this morning in one of the first helicopters that was deployed from the Zhezkazgan airport. Thick overcast in Zhezkazgan. It is also thick overcast here at the landing site. We saw the Soyuz gently descending under its orange and white parachute almost from about the 10,000-foot mark until the time it descended into billowy clouds, signaling a homecoming for Kelly, Kornienko, and Volkov.
And so, Rob, as we continue to stand by for that video and for the crew members to begin getting out, why don't you just walk us through, again, what's ahead for these three once they're outside of the Soyuz?
Okay, so, Dan, as you well know from having done this yourself, once the crew is extracted, they'll be put in three. Volkov will be in the middle chair, Kornienko to his left, and Kelly to Volkov's right, the same seating configuration as they had in the descent module for their entry this morning. The three will have an opportunity to get their equilibrium back just a bit. The current plan is for them to be carried into a nearby inflatable medical tent to get out of their Sokol launch and entry suits, to get into more comfortable flight suit clothing, and to begin a series of comprehensive field tests. This will be the first of three such tests over the next 24 hours. The first to take place in that medical tent to test particularly the year-long crew members, but all three crew members will participate in tests that will measure their vision, their balance, their muscle tone, things of that nature, their strength, their nimbleness of their fingers, and then they'll be loaded into three Mi-8 helicopters for about a 35-minute flight back to Zhezkazgan, the staging city, for other activities that will take place there. Additional field tests will be conducted for Scott Kelly in one of our refueling stops back toward Houston with the arrival at Ellington Field about 24 hours from now.
Well, I know there's certainly a lot of excitement here in Houston to get Scott Kelly back. I know his friends and family very excited to see him back home in the U.S. and here in Houston. How's morale out there among the search and recovery forces? Are they kind of getting caught up in the excitement of this year-long mission as well?
Well, to use the social media term of the day, it's Selfieville out here, with all of the recovery personnel taking pictures of themselves and of each other. A very exuberant mood. However, we're still waiting for that crew to be extracted. That's the main order of the day, is the safe recovery of the crew. The head of Roscosmos, Igor Komarov, is out here. And one very interesting item, a poignant item, if you will. Former cosmonaut Alexander Volkov, a legend in the Russian space annals, is here to greet his son right here at the landing site. He is standing right next to the capsule with other top Roscosmos and Energia personnel. A very proud moment for his this legendary career as he greets his son home from another long-duration mission on the International Space Station.
Well, that's certainly going to be a very poignant moment, and we're looking forward to it. Rob, if you want, stick on the line, and once we get this video back, we can rope you back in, and if not, we can... Oh, and Rob, as I speak, we have video, and we have you dead center in it. So hopefully we'll be getting the crew out soon. How are things looking with preparations at the capsule?
The ladder, of course, has been erected. There is a horde of news media personnel surrounding the spacecraft. I believe they're about to hoist Sergey Volkov out of the top hatch of the Soyuz vehicle. This process should take just a few minutes, and if you have video, you'll be seeing right now that Sergey Volkov, the Soyuz commander, having completed his third flight into space, 548 days in space on 3 space flights for Sergey Volkov.
And indeed, we are seeing him come out of the capsule, the Soyuz commander, the first one out, and as Rob was telling us, his father standing there, excited to welcome his son home.
And Dan, they're helping him down this little slide ladder, if you will. He'll be carried into the center seat of the 3 comfortable chairs that are set up in front of the cameras. He'll be getting a very clear view of that. And the recovery personnel is now bringing Sergey Volkov to the center seat. As you know, he was launched back in September with a visiting crew, a Kazakh cosmonaut and a Danish astronaut who spent a short time aboard the International Space Station.
Be careful, please don't stand in front of the camera.
And we see Volkov now in the center seat, the first one successfully removed from the Soyuz capsule. And of course, next up is going to be Scott Kelly and Mikhail, Kornienko, the 2 one-year crew members returning after 340 days in space. And so we'll look out for them. So Rob, I want to thank you for calling in, giving us an update. Have a safe flight back to Kazakhstan and a safe flight back to Houston, and we'll see you here before too long.
All right, Dan, pleasure. I'll stay on the line if you want to come back to me, but it's your broadcast, so have a good one.
So 1 crew member out, Sergey Volkov in his seat, getting the initial medical checkouts now. We'll stand by to see who gets pulled next, either Mikhail Kornienko or Scott Kelly.
Are you ready? Ready.
And Dan, I don't know if I'm still enabled here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, Rob, we still got you on, so
okay.
feel free to jump in.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dan. They are in the process of gently hoisting the second of the 3 crew members out of the top of the hatch.
And we're standing by. We can see the crew members back. Any idea who it is yet?
I'm trying to get into position to see. Scott Kelly back on Mother Earth after 340 days in space, Dan. Thumbs
And
up.
we got a great view of him now. The folks here in Mission Control Houston letting out a very big cheer. Scott Kelly, as you just said, returned after 340 days in space. NASA's one-year crew member conducted a lot of very important research back down on Mother Earth, back down in Kazakhstan, where he launched from just about 12 months ago.
With the camera. Over here, please.
And so much like Volkov before him, Kelly now being loaded over into his chair.
Dan, I'm going to make my way over to the other side of the chairs here where Scott is.
Everything.
Okay, sounds good, Rob. We'll stand by. We can see the NASA team. You can see Sean Fuller there just behind Scott Kelly. He's the director of all the NASA operations out there in Russia.
Asking everyone to step back. Here goes. We step back. We step back and don't interfere.
And we're seeing a big smile from Scott Kelly there. You can see just to his right, Steve Gilmore, Scott's prime flight surgeon for his year in space. No stranger to cold landings in Kazakhstan. This is his fourth mission, his second landing in a Soyuz. 520 total days in space across his space flight career. 340 days in this historic year in space.
And then Scott just looked at us and said, the air feels great out here. I have no idea why you guys are all bundled up.
With temperatures hovering right around freezing, I imagine you guys are thankful for your jackets, but for somebody who hasn't had the breeze on his face for almost a year, I bet it feels pretty great out there right now. And back over at the capsule, we can see Mikhail, Kornienko, the other one-year crew member, outside the capsule getting ready to get carried over as well.
Do you work for Mission Control?
And then Scott Kelly absolutely relishing the fresh air out here in the mid-morning hours here in the southern steppe of Kazakhstan, breathing deeply, enjoying every second of his return to Earth.
And we just saw Mikhail Kornienko go down the slide. He's getting carried over, so he'll be joining you shortly as well. So with that, all three crew members out of the Soyuz capsule safely down there on the steppe in Kazakhstan.
One-year mission, guys. I'm fine. Okay, yes, we covered him up, wrapped him up. How are you?
And so, Rob, now all the initial medical checkouts are about to begin. Is the medical tent set up there on site?
And yes, it is. It's directly behind us, Dan.
Move away.
As is the custom, they will carry each of the crew members one by one. This short distance, it's about a 50-yard haul to carry the crew members into the medical tent, where they will, as I said earlier, have their SOFA launch and entry suits removed, and then have an opportunity to undergo about an hour to an hour and a half worth of field testing, which is the first critical biomedical measurement of all of their biomedical functions. That will be the initial test of their response to a gravity environment for the first time in a year.
Hard landing. Well, we exercise there on a regular basis. Yeah. Is it the old tradition?
And then very swift work made by the Energia folks. Sergey Volkov, just a few feet away from me. His father is kneeling down right next to him. What a picture that is. Father and son, cosmonaut heritage that has spanned several decades of Russian space history.
Everything as we were taught.
And we we just had a great view of that. Saw Scott Kelly with a satellite phone in his hand, assuming making a call to friends and family, eagerly awaiting his return here to Houston, just about 24 hours away or so from now. A lot of smiles from all three crew members now safely out of that Soyuz vehicle.
Well, you see, just let me go to sauna down here and then I can fly again. Alexander, hello. Please pass along our thank you.
Right now we're looking at Mikhail, Kornienko, and the other crew members, where you can see the various flight surgeons and nurses out there with the search and recovery forces affixing a number of devices just to get those initial medical readings from the crew members.
Would you like to hold an apple? Not to eat one. Well, this is heavy.
So again, there you have it, all three crew members safely out of their Soyuz craft. Mikhail Kornienko there on the left, Sergey Volkov in the center, and on the right, NASA astronaut Scott Kelly back on Earth after 340 days in space. And as we've heard Rob detail, the science gonna pick right back up for these three crew members in just a couple of minutes once they move into the medical tent and begin those field test studies. All three crew members spending about an hour to an hour and a half doing various functional tasks to see how well they're able to perform shortly after being reintroduced into the gravity environment.
Very much everyone who worked hard and helped us. I'm used to more answering questions. Question answer session. I can go ahead and ask me questions. I can answer. Yes, they do send apples up there, but very few cucumbers available. So the previous time I asked for cucumbers, and this time for your channel I was taking videos. Actually today, well, actually yesterday. Don't go away. We're going to take a photograph. No, they said wait for the mission control guys. 2 minutes. Let's switch. Everything is normal. All the equipment worked correctly and worked well. They're going to take measurements. Yes.
And Dan, if you're still with me here at the landing site, they will be starting the process of hoisting the crew members one by one to bring them into the nearby medical tent just a moment or two from now. I must tell you, Scott Kelly may be renamed Spaceman Extraordinaire here. He is looking hale and hearty, and even uttered to his lead flight surgeon, Dr. Steve Gilmore, not much different than it was 5 years ago. So good news as the search and recovery forces now lift Sergey Volkov toward the medical tent, and in short order will be followed by both Scott Kelly and Mikhail Kornienko, but a jubilant atmosphere here in south central Kazakhstan with the return of the one-year crew and Sergey Volkov.
And thank you, Rob, and that's great to hear. We saw Volkov make his way off and Kornienko not too far behind him.
Let's move.
And there at Scott's front, you can see NASA Chief Astronaut Chris Cassidy there in the black jacket. Just behind him, Joel Montalbano, Deputy Program Manager for the International Space Station. Here another view of Mikhail Kornienko, the Russian cosmonaut who also just wrapped up the year in space along with Scott Kelly, being carried over to the medical tent now. All three crew members will undergo some more medical exams before beginning the field test study. You can see the tent in this view. It's the orange inflatable tent there just on the left side of the camera screen. And here's Scott Kelly making his way over too, as Rob reported, looking quite hale, quite happy to be back on Earth and not at all affected by the cold weather down there in Kazakhstan. Happy to be breathing some fresh air down on Earth after 340 days in space.
Congratulations.
Could you turn it to the capsule? Could you show the capsule? They went to the tent to start working.
And so with that, all three crew members now inside of the medical tent there in Kazakhstan. You can see the search and recovery forces continuing to work on the Soyuz capsule itself. They'll be removing a number of samples, biomedical samples that the crew members collected over their final days on board the International Space Station for the various human research projects that they were involved in, namely Scott Kelly, Mikhail Kornienko for their year-long stay.
And this is increment 4546, correct? So he was dropping? So it's 4345.
So again, NASA's Scott Kelly and the Russian cosmonauts Mikhail Kornienko and Sergey Volkov successfully landed this evening at 10:26 p.m. Central Time. The search and recovery forces on top of the Soyuz, they're going to be passing out samples shortly. The vehicle landed upright, a bullseye right in its landing zone, roughly 87 miles or so southeast of Zhezkazgan in Kazakhstan.
Very good equipment. Our helicopter is over there. Are we broadcasting live to Mission Control? Hello, I'd like to congratulate everyone with the successful completion of the year-long expedition. And I wanted to say, as it has become a tradition, the equipment worked well in automated mode. I would like to express appreciation to the Ministry of Defense and Rosaviatia for the search and rescue mission. The crew members are undergoing all the checkups and all the medical tests. Again, thank you very much and congratulations. Congratulations on the successful completion to our industry, please. First, I wanted to congratulate the cosmonauts and then the employees of RC Energia who created this vehicle. It worked super reliably. The commander is very happy with the equipment, so it inspires confidence in the completion of all the subsequent tasks they can set for us. Thank you.